I am Michael's fiancé, his childhood friend. That day, I saw him kissing another girl, the so-called good friend. I really can't stand her. She's sickly and so pretentious, he complained, holding her. His good friend giggled. She's pretentious, because you spoiled her. I told you to set some boundaries, so she wouldn't dare act like that again. You didn't listen, so who's to blame? Oh, so that's how it is. Actually, I'm not someone who absolutely needs him. Later, just as he wished, I left. But he suddenly changed, saying he wouldn't marry anyone but me. That night, Michael messaged me, asking me to bring the wine from home to the bar. I had caught a cold yesterday, feverish and dizzy. I had stayed in bed all day, and he knew that. I'm not feeling well, can you order a drink? I messaged. His call came through right away. When I answered, there was a burst of laughter from the other side. Quiet down. Let's see how Michael deals with her. Ha ha ha. Is he willing to? She's so frail. Amid the laughter, he spoke. Have you eaten? I froze for a moment. Yeah. Everyone's waiting, and it's so hard for you to bring something? You have the energy to eat but not to come over? I took some cold medicine, and now I feel dizzy, I said hoarsely. Michael, forget it. Just give us the money if you lost, came a harsh female voice. I recognized it immediately. Michael's good friend, Monica. She giggled. You're going to lose to us today, and your little wife isn't listening again. The teasing resumed. A wave of nausea suddenly surged in my stomach. Stacy, I don't want to say this again, Michael's voice came through, thick with impatience. I closed my eyes. Okay, I'm coming. I took a taxi to the bar. As soon as I pushed open the door, I saw Michael standing in the center of the room, kissing Monica passionately, surrounded by laughter. When they saw me, the noisy crowd immediately went quiet. Monica, noticing the change in atmosphere, glanced over and screamed, shoving Michael away, as though she had seen a monster. Michael stumbled back a few steps and furrowed his brow when he saw me. He looked completely drunk. When he locked eyes with me, Monica, almost unconsciously, wiped her glistening lips and flustered, said, Stacy, don't misunderstand. We lost a game, and we're being punished. I scanned her light camisole and white miniskirt. Michael and his other buddies had praised her more than once. Pure and sexy. I walked over, holding back my headache, and placed the wine on the glass table. The wine's here. I'm leaving. Don't be mad. Monica suddenly grabbed my arm, rubbing her nose and tears all over me. I turned around, frowning at her. All our friends can vouch for us, we were just playing around. If you misunderstand, we're the ones wronged. Misunderstand? I turned my head. Playing around? She nodded frantically, her tear-streaked eyes pleading. I casually pointed to one of the guys and said to her, then kiss him. Monica's face went pale instantly. You, what do you take me for? As she said this, her eyes filled with humiliation, and her red-rimmed eyes looked like an injured little bunny. At that moment, a guy stood up. It's just a game between friends. Don't make it hard on her. Yeah, exactly. It's just a game. I smirked and turned to look at the group. Make it hard? So now you know what making it hard means? You guys teased me into delivering wine when I was sick, and that wasn't making it hard? Several people fell silent, exchanging glances for a while, then looking at Michael. Enough. I turned around. Michael walked over and grabbed my arm. What's wrong with you today? I told you, it's just friends messing around. Why are you making a scene? You've ruined the whole vibe. Monica's a girl. Do you really have to embarrass her like this? A girl. His good friend was suddenly a girl again. Sorry, Stacy, it's my fault. At that moment, Monica was crying like a flower in the rain. If I had known you two would fight, I wouldn't have insisted on drinking. So the wine was for Monica, after all. My earlier guess had been confirmed, and a wave of exhaustion hit me from all directions. Right now, I just wanted to leave this ridiculous place. I shook off Michael's hand and turned to walk away. Don't be mad. Monica came over to stop me, and I pushed her away. She stumbled and weakly fell into Michael's arms. Michael's anger seemed to flare up with her fall. Stacy! Stop, he yelled from behind me. I turned around, seeing him holding the sobbing Monica, his face dark with rage. Apologize to her. I stopped in my tracks and looked at his angry face calmly. This face had once shown me so many expressions: worry, affection, tenderness, helplessness. Now, he was constantly glaring at me, all for his friend. If you don't apologize today, we're breaking up, he continued. At that moment, all of his friends in the room watched us, eagerly awaiting the show. I felt like a monkey in a circus. Fine, I said, stepping forward. What? Michael frowned. Michael, don't. Monica looked at me, then affectionately patted Michael, her eyes even redder. What's wrong with you? Don't make it hard on Stacy. What did you say? Michael asked again. I said, fine, I said, looking at him calmly. I agree. Let's break up. Maybe because I was still a bit dizzy, it wasn't until I got into the taxi that I realized my house keys weren't in my pocket. They were probably dropped in the bar's hallway. I had to go back and find them. Thankfully, the bartender had found them. As he handed them to me, Michael's room door suddenly opened. Monica was supporting the drunken Michael, walking toward the bathroom while complaining, no matter how mad you are at Stacy, you still need to take care of your health. If you don't care about yourself, at least someone else does. Michael, grinning stupidly, cupped her face. You know, why isn't she as thoughtful as you? Just bringing wine, and she pulls a face, wants to break up. Stacy is pretty thoughtless. You've been so good to her. Any other girl would be so jealous. But she's just saying break up because she's mad. You're a rich second generation, how could she bear to break up with you? Doesn't she always cry and come back? Rich second generation, money, Michael paused. Maybe you're right, she's after my money. Then, he murmured. Actually, sometimes I'm really annoyed. She's so sickly, I don't mind her, but she keeps acting so pretentious. Monica sighed. I'm telling you the truth, don't get mad. You spoiled her, and now she's pretentious. We told you to set some boundaries so she wouldn't act up, but you didn't listen. Who's to blame? Stop thinking she's just after your money. Look at the way she's controlling you. If it's really about money, I bet you'd never break up with her. Don't make yourself miserable. With that, they entered the bar's accessible bathroom, and the door locked behind them. My stomach turned again. I turned and left. Maybe because of the night air, I woke up in the middle of the night with a fever. In my days, I seemed to dream of the old days with Michael. We grew up together in an orphanage. I had always been sickly, and from the moment I could remember, Michael was always by my side. He would chase off the other kids who bullied me, find doctors barefoot when I was sick, hold my hand and promise in his childish voice, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you for life." And once, when the orphanage caught fire, he was rescued but ran back in to save me. His shoulder got burned by falling embers, leaving a permanent scar. At that time, I thought to myself, what kind of love could be more important than one's own life? I had no parents, no relatives, Michael was the only person in the world who treated me the best. So, I told myself, Stacy, you have to always treat Michael well. When I was 16, Michael's biological parents found him. It turned out he was the lost heir of a wealthy family. They took him back, and suddenly, he became a rich man. But he didn't forget me. He would secretly visit my high school, bring me food and medicine, and we promised to apply to the same university. And indeed, we were admitted to the same university. We became the most envied couple on campus, and it was also during this time that Monica and a group of her friends entered my and Michael's lives. Monica was a small-time internet celebrity who had gained some fame in the university town, known for her boyish personality. She seemed to be friends with almost every guy around her. Michael's family owned a significant business in our city, and I could tell what some of the people around him were after. I had warned Michael more than once. But he didn't take it seriously. On the contrary, he enjoyed being the center of attention, with everyone admiring him. After we officially started dating in university, Michael took me to his family's house. He told his parents that he would only marry me in this lifetime. Michael's biological mother had a kind face. She doted on Michael, but was unusually harsh on me. In her eyes, I, an orphan with an unclear background, wasn't worthy of their family. When his parents disagreed, Michael stood outside their villa in the rain all night, and the next day, he had a high fever and was hospitalized with pneumonia. I felt so sorry for Michael. To avoid making him choose between me and his family, I tried my best to please his mother. I endured her deliberate provocations, accepted her constant criticism, and was always mindful of my actions to avoid giving anyone a reason to criticize me. Over time, she reluctantly accepted me, but still called me over every weekend for her so-called wife training. That day, the household staff had the day off, and I was left alone to serve Michael's mother and her friends. I poured tea, washed dishes, and held an umbrella. "You're just weak because you don't do enough physical work," Michael's mother would say, looking at me, drenched in sweat and gasping for breath, while fiddling with her freshly done nails. "You just need to work more." Her friends would examine me with scrutinizing looks. "You look so frail, can you even have kids? Maybe you should take her for a checkup. If she can't even have children, that'd be such a loss." In Michael's family, I felt like an object, constantly being judged, criticized, and commented on by those who looked down on me from above. I didn't tell Michael about all this. I knew how hard he worked taking over the company, and I didn't want him to worry about the tension between me and his family. And honestly, it didn't really matter much. As long as Michael loved me, stood by me, and continued to support me, these grievances didn't seem so important. After graduation, I received a good job offer. But Michael didn't want me to take it. That was when we had a huge argument. He said I was being too spoiled. "Don't you know how bad your health is?" He was furious. "I don't get it. My family is offering you a life of luxury, letting you be a housewife, and you're still dissatisfied? Why are you so selfish? Do you know how much effort I put in for my family to accept you? Why can't you understand me just once?" He started crying as he spoke. "That year, I risked my life to save you. Can't you just compromise for me a little?" So, I compromised again. Because he had saved my life. Because he had been so kind to me. Because he was the only light in my life. Every time I thought of how he risked everything, even his life, for me, every time I saw the scar on his shoulder from saving me, no matter how fierce our argument was, I'd always find a reason to reconcile with him. I didn't ask for anything else, just that we could be together forever. But only today did I realize. He thought I wouldn't leave him because I couldn't bear his money. Turns out, he was tired of me. Today's little test, the same as before, wasn't the first time. And I probably went to deliver the wine because I was subconsciously trying to end things, trying to crush the last straw that had held me back. In the dream, tears kept streaming down my face. The sunny boy from my memory seemed to be standing behind me, waving his hand, happily shouting to me, "Stacy, wait for me. Let's walk together." But I no longer wanted to walk with him. I was too tired. Letting my tears flow endlessly, I took one step after another. Until I reached the end of the sunset, and when I turned around, the figure I had once known was long gone, washed away by my tears, leaving no trace behind. The next day, I woke up with my fever gone. Though I was exhausted, I opened my suitcase and began packing. Just then, the apartment door opened, and Monica's voice came through the bedroom door. "Michael, we're going to the afternoon movie, remember?" Michael answered her. My hand paused in packing. Today was supposed to be the day when Michael promised to go with me to meet my biological parents. A week ago, the orphanage had contacted me, saying they might have found my real parents. They asked for a hair sample for a DNA test. And today was the day the results would come in. When I first received the news, I was nervous and anxious, but Michael had promised to accompany me. But just a few days later, he had forgotten, choosing to go to a movie with someone else. The bedroom door opened, it was Michael. "What are you doing? Being stubborn again?" He frowned as he looked at me packing. "Don't you know how bad your health is? I don't have time to travel with you right now." "I don't need you to come," I whispered. "We broke up last night. I'm moving out today." He was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed. "Stacy, everyone says I've spoiled you too much. I didn't realize it before, but now look at you. What have you become? Always threatening to break up? You think I can't live without you?" He crouched down and disgustedly pulled my hand away from the suitcase. "Enough. Wasn't last night enough for you to show off? Did you get enough of humiliating me in front of your friends with that wine delivery, trying to make Cheryl feel awkward? A surge of anger rose in my chest. I looked up, meeting his gaze. First, I told you I wasn't feeling well, and you insisted I deliver the wine. Second, you kissed Monica first, and she came over to talk to me. Third, you were the one who brought up the breakup. I shook his hand off and zipped up my suitcase. I never thought you couldn't live without me. And I'm not the one who can't live without you. Is this what you want? He raised his voice. You're always causing a scene because of your health. Did I owe you something? He started to lose control. Stacy, don't you know how well I've treated you? I risked my life for you all those years ago. Last night, I just asked you to deliver some wine to test how sincere you were, and you really showed me your true colors. He grabbed my arm. Do you know what my friends say about you behind your back? They say you're just a gold digger, and I'm an idiot for believing you're with me for anything other than my money. Can't you prove them wrong? What have you done for me, huh? I've given you so much, and all I wanted was to verify what's real between us. Is that so wrong? I remained silent, and his anger intensified. I really loved the wrong person. Do you really want to break up? Fine, I won't stop you. But before you walk out that door, you better think carefully. The position of my family's future matriarch won't be available forever. I looked up at his bloodshot eyes, dull from his hangover. Before, I had seen in those eyes a beautiful past, mutual support, sweet love, and an imagined future. But now, all I saw was desolation. Michael, you've succeeded, I whispered. What? He was stunned. Michael, you've succeeded. You've succeeded in making me sick of this relationship. You've succeeded in making me stop loving you. I left the apartment. Michael didn't chase after me. I still hadn't found a new place to rent or secured a job, so I spent half the day at the street corner. I applied a light layer of makeup to cover up my slightly swollen eyes from crying all night. Just now, the DNA test results came back. Tonight, I will meet my biological parents. Michael had once said that the parents who abandoned me at birth either rejected me for being a girl or had poor character. Now, they're looking for me, maybe because they know about my relationship with him and want to latch onto the Michael family's wealth and resources. But now that Michael and I have broken up, I don't know if they'll be disappointed when they see me. What does family even mean? Honestly, I don't know. Michael once said he was my family, and his family was my family too. But all I ever felt from these so-called family members was exhaustion and torment. The sunset today was beautiful. The clouds stretched lazily across the sky, bathed in a warm golden glow. I watched the sun slowly set before finally picking up my suitcase and heading to the meeting place. The meeting place was a restaurant not far away. I was dragging my heavy suitcase, about to cross the street, when a car suddenly sped toward me from a distance. In the split second, I couldn't react in time, but someone behind me grabbed me forcefully, spinning me and the suitcase around. The speeding car brushed past my skirt as it sped by. Are you okay? The voice of the person who saved me rang out above my head. It was a deep, magnetic male voice. I shook my head and quickly thanked him. It's fine. There are a lot of cars here. You need to be careful when walking, he smiled, but then froze when he saw my face. Are you? Stacy? I froze as well. Yes, I am. But you are. I'm your cousin's uncle, he smiled. You look a lot like Aunt Nora. Do we really need DNA for this? The Smith family has been tricked before, so they're being overly cautious. However, there have been plenty of fraudsters who had plastic surgery to pose as relatives, so I understand their caution. He sighed. Let's go. He warmly took my suitcase. The Smith family is large, and there's a lot of gossip. We're meeting at a Wilson family restaurant to protect you. I've cleared everyone involved, so don't worry. You said. Smith family. Wilson family. He thought for a moment and then smiled. I forgot to tell you, he laughed, you're the only daughter of the second son of the Smith family. I'm Nestor from the Wilson family. My sister married your cousin, so our two families are in-laws. Smith family, Wilson family. Before I could process it, I was already at the door of the restaurant with Nestor. A group of people was standing at the entrance, anxiously watching us. At that moment, a beautiful lady suddenly rushed over and hugged me. "Is it Stacy? Is it really my Stacy?" She cupped my face and cried uncontrollably. "It's really my child, our child is back." A tall man walked over from behind her, his eyes also red. "Yes, our child is back." I looked at the face in front of me, one that looked 70% like mine, and couldn't help but feel a lump in my throat. "Let's go inside," Nestor whispered beside me. Until we entered the VIP lounge, my biological mother never let go of my hand. I could feel her hand trembling slightly. Today, the director of the orphanage and the police were also present. They shared the story of how they found me. It turned out that when Nora, my mother, gave birth to me, she had hired a nanny named Paula. After giving birth, Nora was sick for a while, and Paula, seeing her in poor health, tried to seduce my biological father, Oswald, using her looks. Oswald didn't fall for it, and Paula, humiliated, sneaked back after being fired and stole me. Back then, communication wasn't as advanced as it is now, and even though my family was wealthy, they searched for a long time but couldn't find Paula. It wasn't until 6 months later that the police found Paula's and my baby clothes and shoes on an undeveloped beach, along with a suicide note she left behind. The note said that since she couldn't get Oswald, she would make sure he could never forget her. She had taken his child with her to die. The police later found Paula's body in the sea, but they never found mine. They speculated that perhaps I had been eaten by fish. Over the years, most people assumed I had perished, but my parents never gave up. Oswald and Nora never had another child, and they held on to a glimmer of hope, searching and waiting. But Paula hadn't actually killed me. Maybe it was the last bit of kindness in her heart, or maybe she wanted to cruelly satisfy some twisted desire, but she left me at the door of an orphanage in a neighboring city with a note saying my name was Stacy and that my mother had been unmarried and unable to raise me. Later, that orphanage caught fire, and we were all sent to an orphanage in Seaciyt. Because I had a record, no one ever thought I might be the missing heiress of the Smith family. For all these years, I had been in the same city as my biological parents, but we never met. It wasn't until recently, when Nestor, the president of a Wilson family charity project, was talking to the director of my former orphanage, that they mentioned the fire. The director pulled out old photos of the children, and Nestor noticed that I looked exactly like Nora when she was a child actress. He grew suspicious and shared this with the Smith family. The Smith family had been scammed too many times by people claiming to be long-lost relatives, even with fake DNA reports, hoping to inherit Oswald and Nora's immense fortune 100 years later. So this time, they were as uneasy as I was, but dared not hope too much. They were eager to meet me but held off, fearing the bigger the hope, the greater the disappointment. That night, I returned home with my parents. My uncle and cousin's family were also there. Mom held my hand and gently asked, "Stacy, we heard from the orphanage director that you're dating Michael from the Jones family, is that true?" I froze. We don't mean anything by it," she quickly added. "Although the Jones family is not as well off as ours, if you like him, we support you." I shook my head. "Dad, Mom, we've already broken up." Dad asked what I planned to do next and whether I'd be willing to learn how to manage the family business. I hesitated. I didn't have much work experience. "I'm afraid I might not be capable," I said, looking down. "You just got back, why are you in such a hurry?" Mom immediately complained. That night, I slept with Mom. I sleep lightly, so I knew she woke up many times in the middle of the night, gently stroking my hair, and several times I heard her quietly sobbing. The next morning, Dad personally made me breakfast, his eyes red as he watched me eat, carefully asking if I liked it. In the days since returning home, I've felt a kind of familial love I've never experienced before. They've been trying to make up for lost time, but I know that over the years, they've probably suffered more than I have. A few days later, my cousin found me, and Nestor was with him. Cousin said that Dad's health had not been good in recent years. The mental strain of searching for me and the work pressure had been like two mountains weighing on him. The doctor had long advised him to retire and rest. I had already noticed the signs from his graying temples. He was 5 years younger than Uncle, yet looked much older. "Stacy, the family has two main business sectors, one is under me, and one is under your father. Your father's part will eventually be handed over to you." Cousin asked, "Are you willing to learn?" I lowered my head, thought for a long time, and finally nodded. "I'll try." Cousin let out a sigh of relief, and Nestor, who had been silent up to this point, suddenly spoke up. "I don't think it's a good idea to just put her in the company directly." Cousin looked up. "Why not? The people at the company are sharp. She looks so much like Aunt Nora. Do you think people won't guess her identity? Rumors are one thing, but such a work relationship and interpersonal dynamics wouldn't be ideal for her learning." Cousin furrowed his brows. "You're right." "So?" Nestor smiled. He walked over. "If you really want to learn how to manage a company, how about you come to work at my place?" I blinked. "What?" He blinked and said, "The Wilson is no weaker than the Smith family." After getting my parents' consent, I started working at Wilson Company. "Didn't you say you'd be going to the business department?" On my first day at work, I stood in Nestor's vast office, staring blankly at my temporary ID badge. It boldly said President's Office. "Why would you need to go to the business department?" Nestor was signing documents. "What you need to learn is how to manage a company," he said. "So?" "Of course, you need to learn from the best teacher." "The best teacher? Who?" I was a little confused. He looked up from the pile of documents and flashed a toothy smile. "Of course, it's me." At first glance, Nestor seemed like the typical spoiled rich kid. He loved cars, collected all kinds of luxury vehicles, and even built a private garage at home just for them. He had also participated in racing competitions. He was into sports, too. Every evening, he'd play basketball at the company's court for at least an hour. His regular exercise habits kept him in top shape, with broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and long, straight legs. I heard many of the female employees would volunteer to work overtime just to watch him play. But after spending time with him, you realize that's all just a facade. He's an excellent manager. After becoming his assistant, I sat in on negotiations, client meetings, and conferences. He appeared laid back but was always able to pinpoint the other party's weaknesses with a casual joke. He seemed indifferent to many things, but he always had full control, handling everything effortlessly. Unlike my cousin, he rarely worked overtime. Besides the occasional business dinners, he didn't attend drinking parties or smoke. After intense negotiations, he'd take time to review the entire process with me, simulating different scenarios and making me come up with my own responses. He'd also have me write meeting agendas beforehand and point out the key points to focus on. His observation skills were sharp. If I looked the least bit tired, he'd tell me to rest. At first, I insisted that I could push through. "There's no need," he said, laughing. "Why push yourself when you're tired? A philosopher once said that rest is for a longer journey ahead." "Who was it?" I asked, eyes wide. He blinked. I forgot his name, but I think his point makes a lot of sense." Spending time with Nestor was comfortable and relaxed, but there were always subtle pointers and moments of insight. He never pressured anyone, but he was great at guiding them. The constant tension and stress in my heart seemed to ease and relax in his presence. Being with him, I really learned a lot and grew quickly. But at the same time, his brilliance made me question myself. Can I really do this? Can I achieve what he's achieved? A month passed quickly in the busyness of work. One afternoon, while shopping at Wilson's family mall, I unexpectedly ran into Michael and Monica. Nestor's birthday was next week, and I wanted to buy him a gift as a way to thank him for all his help. But he really didn't need anything, this mall was his, after all. After a lot of back and forth, I finally decided on a red braided string that I would personally weave for him, as a symbol of good luck. At least it would show my appreciation. As I passed a few luxury brand counters, I suddenly heard Monica's voice. "You bought this perfume for Auntie? She'll definitely love it." The mall was almost empty at lunchtime, and the sound of high heels clicking on the floor echoed. When I turned around, both of them saw me at the same time. Michael looked a bit sluggish, but his eyes seemed to light up when he spotted me. "Stacy?" Monica glanced at Michael, then at the bag in my hand, and quickly walked over with a smile. "Stacy, you're buying a birthday gift for Auntie too?" she gasped. "This gift? If you listen to me, something like this won't do." Get something more high-end, Auntie will love that. Michael raised his chin when he heard Monica. Where have you been for the past month? He frowned. Don't think that just because you braided a string, I'll forgive you. As he spoke, his gaze fell on my ID badge. What's this? Eh? President's office? Monica read the words on my badge, covering her mouth and laughing. Stacy, how did you end up working as a receptionist at Wilson Group? Temporary worker? Michael's frown deepened. Where I work is none of your business, I said flatly, turning to leave. Now, that's not right, Monica stepped forward and grabbed my arm. She looked up at Michael with a pained expression. You can't just be upset and not think about Michael. Just then, Michael spoke. Monica, wait for me over there. Monica froze for a moment, then reluctantly walked to the side. Michael came over and snatched the gift box from my hands. Why are you working as a receptionist? Are you trying to embarrass the family? He said angrily. Stop messing around and come back. You haven't been home for so long, and Mom's angry. She's asked me about you several times. I told her you weren't feeling well, so she didn't say anything. Do you really want to make a scene like this? You think just because you braided some cheap red string, she'll forgive you? Michael. I snatched the box back and coldly interrupted him. We'd broken up. How many times do I have to say it? The red string is for someone else, it has nothing to do with your mother. But he still wouldn't let go of my hand. Why are you being so stubborn? What a coincidence, right? Let go of me. Stacy. I turned around and saw Nestor walking over with another assistant. Michael froze when he saw Nestor. You're Nestor Wilson? Nestor turned and looked at him coldly. Who are you? I'm Michael Jones. Michael hurriedly handed over his business card. My parents reached out to you before, wanting to discuss a partnership with Wilson Group for consumer goods and become your distributor. Our bidding for this year is already over, Nestor smiled politely. If you're interested, you can submit a bid again next year. Please consider our company? Michael looked panicked. My parents know you're into cars, they want to invite you. Nestor interrupted him. My personal preferences have nothing to do with company decisions. I. Mr. Wilson, your receptionist Stacy is Michael's girlfriend. Monica, who had snuck up beside us, suddenly shouted. Everyone froze. Michael looked confused and frowned at Monica, while she stepped forward with a smile. We're sincere about this. To impress you, we had Stacy work as your receptionist. Let's see if you'll give us a chance, right, Stacy? Nestor looked at me, stunned. Ex-girlfriend, I corrected him. Michael seemed to realize what Monica's intention was and immediately forced a smile. She's just joking. We're not broken up. She even came here today to buy a birthday gift for my mom. She doesn't know much, but if she caused you trouble, I hope you can forgive her. We really want to get to know you. Over the years, our two families have worked together, and we think it's a pity. I'm not asking about exes, Nestor ignored him and turned directly to me. When did you become my receptionist? Before I could speak, Monica jumped in. What? This is fake? Forged ID? Michael's face grew darker. I just wanted to. I know what you want, Nestor waved his hand. You want to discuss the partnership, right? Michael looked eager. Sure. So, who's your assistant? My assistant, Nestor turned to me. Since you two already know each other, I won't bother introducing. He added, but she's very busy, so remember to make an appointment in advance. When Nestor and I left, Michael and Monica were still standing in place, looking as if they'd been struck by lightning. Why did you want me to handle this? I asked after explaining my relationship with Michael. He paused for a moment before responding. I heard from my cousin that Aunt Nora wanted to give you the Smith family's golf club, but you turned it down. I nodded. The Smith family golf club was basically a gathering place for local high society women. There was a certain threshold for membership, and my mother had been the club president for years. Those women are sharp, and I'm a little worried I won't be able to handle them. He thought for a moment. That's exactly why this could be a good opportunity to practice, he said. What do you mean? 2 reasons, he continued. 1. It's a chance for you to practice. I've seen the materials their company submitted before, it's well packaged, but there are hidden issues. You can use this opportunity to see if you can spot them, like a little test for us. And the second reason? That Michael, isn't he your ex? So what? I didn't quite understand. You know, he said softly, you and my sister are quite alike. He sighed lightly, almost wistfully. Girls tend to unknowingly give too much in relationships, and end up hurt over and over again. I don't know the exact reason you broke up, but from what I saw just now, he doesn't seem like a very considerate boyfriend. He paused and added, so I'm fully giving you the freedom to handle this as you see fit. If you want to meet him, go ahead, if you don't, that's fine too. If you can separate your emotions and negotiate with your ex, nothing will be able to defeat you in the future. But if you can't detach emotionally, feel free to make things difficult for him, it's entirely up to you. Is that really okay? I widened my eyes. By giving me this kind of freedom, aren't you being biased? Why would that be a problem? He chuckled. Didn't my cousin ever tell you? I'm the kind of person who always helps family, not principles. A few days later, Michael showed up at the agreed time, sitting across from me, looking upset. I honestly didn't want to make things difficult for him. Like Nestor said, separating emotions, this was a valuable learning experience. With a business-like attitude, I started discussing the issues in the materials with him, but he suddenly interrupted me. How did you become Nestor's assistant? I was silent for a moment before answering, we're talking about work. What did you sell out? He raised his voice. Excuse me? I was taken aback. The Wilson Group's entry-level positions are hard to get into. You didn't work at all after graduation, so how could you suddenly be hired as his assistant? His eyes were red, and he grabbed my wrist. I worked so hard to save you back then, I protected you and loved you for all these years, is this how you repay me? Warming the bed for another man? Let go. I frowned. I won't let go. He gripped me tightly and pulled me toward him. Have you forgotten? You're mine, you've always been mine. Why does Nestor deserve you? Did he save you? He's just a bit richer than I am. Look at him, he has any woman he wants. He's just playing with you. When he gets bored, he'll throw you away like trash. No man in the world will treat you better than I did. Wake up. Michael. Let go. Let's quit our jobs now. After my mom's birthday, we'll get married. If it pisses off the Wilson family, we won't work with them anymore. Michael. I pulled my hand away from his. He turned away, his eyes red. I really love you. Why can't you understand that? I looked at him calmly. We've already broken up. Why don't you understand that? Break up? We just had a fight. I shook my head. Michael, it's not that you don't understand. It's just that you've gotten used to it. For all these years, every time we had a breakup, I always ended up coming back to you. But this time is different, I said as I handed the materials back to him. I've noted the issues with your company's business in here, but I'm afraid it doesn't meet the Wilson Group's requirements. Similarly, we also can't go back. Sometimes, there's no going back. After Michael left, I sat alone in the meeting room for a long time. Saying those words, there's no going back, was almost as painful for me as it was for him. The person I once admired and loved so much had ended up here. My phone buzzed, it was a message from Michael. I know I was wrong. That day, when I made you bring me the alcohol, I shouldn't have done that. I only realized later when I saw the fever medicine by your bedside that you were really sick. Stacy, I don't care what relationship you have with Nestor right now. As long as you turn back to me, I'll take you back. Come back. You don't respond to me, but I'll keep looking for you. I'll find you until you change your mind. Stacy, after all these years, you can't just forget about me. Then he sent me a photo. It was a scar on his shoulder. I suddenly felt so irritated, like there was a lump of soaked cotton blocking my chest. That suffocating feeling, which I used to feel often, was back. I blocked Michael's number. The sun was setting, and the city lights were coming on outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting a picture of prosperity. Is this where you are? The door opened, and I turned around to see Nestor. He walked over and stood beside me, I heard you met Michael today? Didn't go well? I nodded. I was trying to keep it professional, but I still got emotionally affected. It's normal, he said, nodding. You've done well. After all, we're not robots. But once you're in a management position, many people will try to influence your emotions and decisions. This is something you'll have to learn to overcome. I understand. Still, he said with a smile as he walked toward the door, if my cousin finds out you're upset because of work I arranged for you, he'll probably want to kill me. Therefore, for the sake of my life, the workday is over. Next, I'm taking you out to have fun. Nestor somehow managed to get 2 bicycles. He took me on a ride through the streets and alleys on a summer night, eating all kinds of street food. The cool evening breeze tousled my hair as I looked at Nestor, who was watching me eat with his chin resting on his hand. I couldn't help but ask. Why does it feel like you don't have any worries? How could I not? He laughed, casually brushing my hair behind my ear. I have plenty of worries. He started talking about how he had just taken control of the Wilson family business. Do you know? When I gave my inauguration speech, my palms were sweating, and my voice was shaking. All the board members were my grandfather's age. They're all sharp. I was so anxious, hoping to get their approval. I even dreamed about meetings in the middle of the night. What happened next? I realized that, actually, I didn't need their approval. You just need to be true to yourself, and please yourself, and they'll naturally submit. But, capabilities also have their limits, I said, lowering my head. I've never been good at socializing. I've always been weak and spent a lot of time alone. Nestor and I were different. He had been trained strictly from a young age to take over the family business, while I had lived as an ordinary person for over 20 years. He shook his head. No, you can do it. Want to give it a try? He asked. Nestor took me to a lit-up basketball court. There were only the two of us. I had never played basketball, and I wasn't good at sports, but he said he was going to teach me how to shoot. Like this, raise your hand, right, aim, and shoot. He patiently corrected my form again and again, his attitude serious as though he were a real coach. Why do you like playing basketball? I couldn't help but ask. At first, it was just because I thought it looked cool, he said, adjusting my posture. But later, playing became my best way to release stress. The intense competition, the thrilling challenges, often, you forget all your other worries and focus on the moment. I tried shooting again, and this time, the ball went in with a loud clang. I couldn't help but cheer, high-fiving him. That's why basketball has become a daily necessity for me. After a while, he chuckled. Can you drive? I can, but I haven't driven much, I mumbled. Michael used to say I wasn't in good health, so he never let me drive. When I thought of Michael, I suddenly realized that I hadn't thought of him since I came out with Nestor. Nestor asked his driver to bring the car around and took me to a drive-in theater on the outskirts of town. The movie playing was Slam Dunk. When I was a kid, I loved Sakuragi Hanamichi. I still do, he said softly after the movie ended. A lot of people have different opinions about this film, especially about why the story focuses on Miyagi, and I admit I do feel a bit regretful too, but I understand the author's intent. We all want to be like Sakuragi, a natural-born genius, but most of us, like Miyagi, have to work our way up from being ordinary. As long as you stay true to yourself, keep pushing forward, and never give up, you'll eventually get the chance for that game-winning shot. Even if you don't score, just getting to play, being in the game at all, is enough, don't you think? The end credits were rolling on the big screen, and suddenly, I understood the meaning behind his words. Thank you for today, I said softly. I'm a sensitive and observant person, and I had long realized that everything tonight, though seemingly casual, had been carefully planned by him. He was helping me regain my confidence, pulling me out of the emotional hole I dug for myself, and pushing me to break free from the prison I had built within my own mind. You're too easy to move, he teased. You're going to get taken advantage of by men like that. I'm thanking you. I glared at him, puffing out my cheeks in frustration. Why are you ruining the mood? I was thanking you because you actually care about me. He raised an eyebrow. A gust of wind blew, and the leaves rustled in the trees. He opened his mouth to say something, but I couldn't catch the words. Well, I only care about those I like, he said finally. The next day, I told my mom that I was willing to take over the golf club. I wanted to give it a try. She was thrilled and quickly made all the necessary arrangements. At the club that day, the assistant informed me that someone was waiting outside to see me. Me? Yes, she brought a gift and insists on meeting you. I furrowed my brows and went outside. Sure enough, it was Michael's mother. She was holding a box, but the smile on her face vanished as soon as she saw me. Stacy? What are you doing here? She gasped, glaring at me. A few days ago, Monica told me you'd been trying to get in with rich people, and I didn't believe her. Are you here with some random man? I've always said you're not a good person, she sneered, then raised a camera to take my picture. Now I've caught you red-handed. Don't think that just because you're with a man you'll get a membership here. This club is hard to get into, and not just anyone can join. I looked at her calmly, sat down at the tea table, and poured myself a cup of tea. Actually, not just anyone can join. If that were the case, you wouldn't have submitted 10 applications and still been rejected. What did you say? She raised her hand in fury. I'm telling you, with your behavior right now, there's no way I'll ever let you marry Michael. Marry Michael? I sipped my tea leisurely. You might want to focus on why you can't get into this club. You. Just then, the assistant brought Michael's mother's application materials over. Michael's mother immediately plastered a smile on her face. Miss Smith hasn't arrived yet? The assistant glanced at me and then at Michael's mother. Isn't this Miss Smith? What? Her smile froze, and she looked back and forth between me and the assistant. You're joking, right? We're not joking, the assistant said, clearly confused. Miss Smith is very busy today, but she specifically made time for your interview. Miss, she turned to me, do you need any more documents? No need, I tossed the materials onto the table and stood up. The interview is over. Wait. Wait a minute. After a long pause, Michael's mother seemed to realize something and hurried over, grabbing my sleeve. Stacy. She forced a smile. It's a misunderstanding. We're family, aren't we? I pulled my arm from her grip. Don't you remember? You just said, in your own words, that you would never approve of me joining your family. Come on, we've known each other for so long. I've always thought of you as my daughter. Sorry, a cold voice came from behind. My daughter's not in the habit of adopting mothers left and right. I turned around. Mom? My mom walked over gracefully, radiating a chill that seemed to freeze the air around her. You're Mrs. Jones, right? Michael's mother? The one who made my daughter work as a servant at your house every week for the past few years. Michael's mother froze. It's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. I always thought of Stacy as a daughter-in-law. My daughter of the Smith family will never work as anyone's servant, no matter who she marries. My mom, who was already taller than Michael's mother, towered over her like a queen. Of course, if this is your family's tradition, I can consider offering you a membership here as a lower-tier member, if you're willing to work as a servant every day. Michael's mother stammered, then grabbed her gift and fled in embarrassment. Check if any of the women she associates with have memberships here. If they do, revoke them immediately, my mom ordered. Then she turned to me and hugged me tightly. Stacy, I'm sorry. If I had found you sooner, you wouldn't have had to suffer. I shook my head and hugged her back, tightly. In the end, I had already received the most precious thing in the world. After all, what could be more valuable than having family who would always stand by you, no matter what? The distant people and events no longer mattered. I just hoped I could grow up quickly and become their future source of support. Because of the busy schedule at the golf club, I hadn't been to Wilson's company for 2 weeks. After having lunch with my mom that day, I decided to stop by. When I arrived, I noticed the staff in the president's office whispering among themselves. You haven't heard? Renee leaned over to tell me in a low voice. You know we were organizing the files recently, right? So we hired some temp workers from an outsourcing company. One of the female employees is something else. She has nothing to do, so she keeps running to the president's office, dressed very provocatively, making the drivers stare. Just then, the door to the president's office opened. Renee made a shoot gesture, giving a meaningful look in that direction. Nestor stepped out first, followed by Monica, who was blushing and looking demure. When she saw me, Nestor waved. "Stacy, perfect timing. Come join us for lunch with the client." I hesitated, then walked over. Monica glanced at me and quickly moved ahead, standing beside Nestor. The walk was silent, except for the sound of Monica's high heels clicking on the floor. Once we reached the private dining room, Monica immediately sat next to Nestor and sweetly asked, "Mr. Nestor, can we order king crab later?" Nestor smiled. "Let's wait until the client arrives." At that moment, the door opened, and both Monica and I froze. It was Michael. "Monica?" Michael said, clearly surprised. "What are you doing here?" Monica hesitated, but Nestor interrupted her. "Let's start serving," he said, cutting the tension. The TV in the room suddenly turned on, showing a scene from Nestor's office, where Monica was placing a cup of coffee in front of him with an overly eager smile. "Are you not Michael's friend?" Nestor asked. "Actually, I don't know him well," Monica replied. "He's been pursuing me, but I haven't agreed to anything. After all, he and Stacy are a couple. I don't do third parties, and I'm not interested in him. Mr. Nestor, I actually don't think much of Michael's character. Last time in the mall, he wouldn't let go of you. I was so embarrassed. But his company does have some core technologies. Didn't they just apply for a patent for a secret technology?" Nestor said casually. Monica leaned in. "Actually, if you're interested in that technology, I could help you." The scene cut off at that point. Nestor tossed a sealed envelope across the table to me. "I haven't opened this envelope, so I don't know whether it's real or not. To be honest, this technology, if we wanted to use it, it'd be easy enough. But it's just not what we're interested in." He absent-mindedly fiddled with the red string I had given him, then added slowly. "If Miss Monica sent this to me intentionally, I respect your boldness. But honestly, you probably don't know me very well. I'm not interested in this kind of woman. If she didn't send this, though, I must admit I admire your courage. You're willing to give up everything you rely on to others. I really can't do that, and I don't think I ever could." Michael gripped the envelope tightly, and after a long pause, finally forced out a response. "I didn't do any of this. Thank you for returning the envelope." "No need to thank me," Nestor said, "but I'll consider this a favor owed. You, as the CEO, how could you be involved in something like this video?" Monica's voice trembled. Nestor chuckled. "What? You don't even know what kind of person I am or what equipment I have in my office, yet you come here and talk to me? Also, my mom taught me to never drink anything handed to me by a stranger." With a half smile, he turned to Michael. "All right, I've said my piece. I don't care how you and your friend resolve things, but I'd suggest you be more cautious with who you associate with in the future." Monica stiffly turned to Michael. "Michael, I'm not." "Shut up," Michael snapped, his voice trembling with anger. Nestor stood up and gestured for me to leave with him. "Do you realize you've been played?" Monica suddenly shot to her feet and yelled. "Stacy is a scheming woman. She tricked Michael out of money before, and now she's tricking you out of yours. She's got you under her spell. You're nothing but a fool." Nestor paused in his steps, then laughed lightly. "Is that so?" He turned back toward her. "If it's really her, then I'd say I'm happy to be played." Monica stared at him in disbelief, just as Michael's phone suddenly rang. "Mom, what is it? Can't we talk later?" "What? You're saying?" "Stacy's parents, who?" He turned to look at me, his hand holding the phone trembling slightly. After he hung up, he stood there, seemingly in a daze. "No, this can't be, right? My mom said you're the daughter of the Smith family, but Stacy, you're an orphan, aren't you? Your parents are dead, aren't they? The Smith family, daughter? The one rumored to be the one who will inherit half the family fortune?" Monica's eyes widened in disbelief. "This can't be true." I said flatly, "Let me introduce myself again. I'm Stacy Smith." As we left the private room, faint sounds of Monica's sobs and her arguing with Michael could still be heard. There was also the sound of something smashing. I frowned and called over the restaurant manager. "Go check what's been broken. Make them pay for everything at full price." In the afternoon, Nestor accompanied me to pick up my new car, a rugged SUV. My cousin and Nestor's sister were also there. "You've really brought my sister here for something wild," my cousin joked to Nestor. "This kind of car isn't something most girls can handle." "She picked it out herself," Nestor raised an eyebrow. "I'm just here as a driving coach." That evening, the Smith family hosted a business dinner, mainly to introduce me to key figures. Everything went smoothly until the media interview segment, when chaos suddenly broke out at the entrance. It was Michael's mother. She said Michael had attempted suicide. "Please, Miss Smith, Michael saved your life. He risked his life for you." She burst into the room, kneeling in front of me in front of all the reporters. "You can't just throw him away after you've recognized your family. He's loved you all these years. If you don't want him, he really will go die." Michael's mother cried loudly, the reporters rushed to take photos, and the scene turned into a frenzy. In the lounge, my family and Nestor were all present. "Stacy, don't worry, you don't need to go to the hospital. We'll take care of this," my dad said. "The media's already been briefed. There won't be any photos tonight," my cousin added. "You've had a long day, you should rest for a bit." I lifted my gaze and met Nestor's eyes across the room. I shook my head. "If I'm going to take over the Smith family business, I shouldn't keep relying on all of you to fix my problems. This matter is my responsibility. I'll handle it myself." Despite my insistence, my family still insisted on coming with me to the hospital. In the hospital room, Michael lay pale and weak on the bed. As soon as he saw me, he grabbed my wrist. "Stacy," he cried, tears streaming down his face. "I knew you'd come. You wouldn't leave me. You say you can't live without me, was it because of the Smith family's money?" He froze. What are you saying?" He looked hurt, as though I had accused him of something terrible. "How could you think that of me, Stacy? My feelings for you have nothing to do with money." "So you do understand," I said, "that saying something like that would hurt?" The air fell heavy with silence. He seemed lost for words. I slowly pried each of his fingers off my wrist. "I'm here to make you see clearly. You and I are really over. Do you know why I've always had trouble breathing for so many years?" He stared at me in confusion. "Because in this relationship, I always felt suffocated. Suffocated by love and affection that felt like pressure, suffocated by doubts and tests, suffocated by countless moments of disappointment and hopelessness, suffocated by endless emotional exhaustion, suffocated by a self that was both fragile and unwilling. Can't you see? I used to tell myself that everything you did was for my own good, but love isn't supposed to be a cage. It's not a way to repay a debt. It shouldn't be filled with doubt. True love doesn't need tests or equal returns, it requires trust without reserve and a willingness to give. When you started doubting our love because of other people's words, when you continued relationships with other women despite knowing the ambiguity between us, when you kept blaming the breakdown of our relationship on my faults, that's when we were really done. That's why we could never be together. So you've been wanting to break up with me all along, haven't you?" His voice cracked with emotion. "I know you never loved me as much as I love you, but I love you more than life itself." "Yeah." Michael's mother suddenly burst in, crying out. "He saved your life. Who else could be better to you than him? You can't be so heartless." My father and uncle stepped forward, blocking her way. "Michael, you always say you saved Stacy's life, but we checked the records from back then. Yes, you rushed in, but you immediately encountered 2 firefighters who had already saved Stacy. She was unconscious at the time, and when she woke up, you told her you were the one who saved her and intentionally hid the fact that it was the 2 firefighters. Since things were chaotic back then, you both ended up at the orphanage in SEACIYT, and the truth was never revealed. You were just afraid she would leave you, so you used this to make her feel grateful and indebted to you." Michael's mother froze. "What? That's impossible. Michael would never lie. We found the 2 firefighters." "Would you like to talk to them about this?" my uncle said coldly. My dad took a few steps forward and spoke sternly. "My daughter wasn't supposed to let me come today, but I'm here to say a few things. Stacy is my daughter. For all the years she's been out there, I prayed countless times that she would meet someone who truly loved her. Michael, maybe at the time, you truly risked your life to save her, and as a father, I thank you for that. But what you and your family have done to my daughter all these years, do you have any self-awareness? Our Smith family has always advocated for kindness, and Stacy inherited that. She's grateful, rational, considerate, and kind-hearted, but that's not an excuse for you to deceive and mistreat her. If we're going to argue this, let's sit down and go over everything one by one. How you've mistreated my daughter, even making it impossible for her to find work. Do you really think we didn't know all this? No, that's not it. Michael's mother's voice cracked with emotion. She's in poor health. Michael only stopped her from working so she could rest at home and recover. Poor health? My cousin and Nestor walked in. After my sister came home, she's been perfectly fine. We're also curious, Nestor added, turning to face Michael. What kind of relationship could have tortured her so much, that a healthy body kept breaking down? Nestor then turned his attention to Michael. Michael, you've never dared to face the truth, because you've always been a coward. You're afraid that even if you break her wings, you still won't be able to keep her, that you don't deserve her. But she was never a bird that could be caged. How could a soaring eagle ever be confined by a cage? I paused for a moment before stepping forward. Stop making a joke out of your life. This is the last time I'll say this to you. Whether you live or die next time, it will have nothing to do with me. Goodbye. I turned and walked away. Michael's mother collapsed onto the ground, muttering, "How did it come to this?" Meanwhile, Michael remained sitting on the edge of the bed, frozen, until we had left. Afterward, I instructed the company's PR team to suppress gossip media reports about Michael and me, releasing an official statement. Michael still tried to contact me a few more times, but neither my family nor I responded. I was busy studying company management and taking on a few smaller business ventures. It was like breaking through a thick layer of ice and finally seeing the vast ocean beyond. The first success often leads to the second, the third. I didn't try to please anyone, I just focused on doing my best. Over time, I began to see genuine respect and recognition on the faces of those at the company. I didn't want to be a sheltered princess in a greenhouse, what I wanted was to be a leader who could stand on my own. So what if I started late? So what if I'm a girl? I nervously but excitedly embraced new challenges, pushing myself to reach higher peaks. I'm grateful for my family, for the unconditional love and support that helped me become a better person than I ever thought I could be. And of course, there was that person. That night, Nestor invited me to join him at the basketball court. I could now make three-pointers. While we were resting on the side of the court, Nestor pulled out a bouquet of fiery red flowers from somewhere. Actually, I've always wanted to say something, he said, his voice unusually nervous. You know, your name and my sister's, they actually go really well together. What? I asked, confused. He sighed. I know this confession is kind of cheesy, but it's the first time I've confessed to a girl. I've been thinking about it for days. I stared at him in silence. By the way, when my cousin tricked my sister into being with him, I secretly helped him out. Back then, I didn't really understand what it meant to feel love. I didn't get why my cousin was so patient waiting for my sister. But now, as it's my turn, I realize love isn't something you can control, so. So you want to trick my sister too? Both Nestor and I froze, turning our heads at the sound of a voice. My cousin and Nestor's sister had somehow appeared at the side of the court. I'm confessing here. How can you interrupt me like that? This is repaying kindness with grievance. Nestor exclaimed, frustrated. When my sister was with you, I helped you so much, he continued. Yeah, my cousin said, walking over. But thanks to you, we spent so many years apart before finally getting together. Damn, you really hold grudges like this, huh? No matter what, I have to take responsibility for my sister. My cousin came up to me. Let me say a few words. Stacy, I know Nestor pretty well, he said. Nestor raised an eyebrow. He might seem unreliable sometimes, and not very reasonable, but he's a very protective person and someone you can trust. Nestor interrupted, I'll take that as a compliment. But when it comes to feelings, you need to think carefully, my cousin said. Especially when it comes to accepting a proposal. You have to be cautious. Nestor was speechless. You shouldn't say yes too quickly. Making him wait a little longer wouldn't hurt. Stop. Nestor raised his fist in the air. But the next second, he turned to me with a pitiful look on his face. Stacy, my stomach hurts. I was startled and almost rushed to him, but my cousin stopped me. Are you trying to pull this stunt in front of me? Do you think I'm invisible? And can you stop stealing my lines? My cousin crossed his arms over his chest. Stomach pains are exclusive to us CEOs. Can't you come up with something more original? Nestor jumped up, furious. Wait a second. What CEO doesn't have stomach problems? I'm bright, cheerful, lively, and passionate, but I can have these problems too. I watched the two of them bicker and suddenly smiled. Thanks, brother. I turned to Nestor. Before, I always hesitated, lacked confidence, but just like you taught me basketball, sometimes you have to raise the ball and try. Only by taking that first step can you aim for the hoop, right? A good partner won't make you stay stagnant or trap you in a cage. They'll walk beside you, side by side. So, I think we do feel like family. That night at the basketball court, Nestor set off a lot of fireworks. I leaned quietly against his shoulder, watching the sky light up with brilliant colors. When my cousin and Nestor's sister were about to leave, Nestor put his hands in his pockets and called out to my cousin. There's one more thing I need to ask you. What are you going to do about Michael? I wasn't going to deal with that clown anymore, but if I don't teach him a lesson, he won't learn. He'll keep bothering me. Teach him a lesson, huh? My cousin looked up at the sky. The two of them stood side by side, looking at the sky together. Maybe, let him go bankrupt? At that moment, Nestor's sister suddenly twitched her lips. She leaned over and whispered. My husband started reading male-targeted novels recently. I think my brother's been reading them too. They even exchanged thoughts on their reading. What should I do? And now it's even becoming a thing. Nestor and I exchanged a glance and laughed in unison. Reading novels, huh? Really scary. Soon after, Michael's company's financial scandal quickly trended on social media. During the investigation, even more problems surfaced, such as fake products and substandard goods being exposed. Michael's company's cash flow dried up, and no bank was willing to lend them money anymore. Nestor sighed. We're just exposing the bad things he's done over the years. Their fate is in the hands of the consumers they've deceived. I occasionally heard updates about Michael and Monica from old college friends. After Michael's company failed, all of his good friends cut ties with him, afraid he would ask them for money. Monica cut ties with him too. On one side, Michael accused her of stealing company secrets. On the other side, several girls exposed flirtatious chats between Monica and their boyfriends. This became a huge scandal. One of the girls, who was a little extreme, hired someone to beat Monica up. She was disfigured, and she's still in a lawsuit with that girl. But none of that mattered to me anymore. Nestor and I were focused on preparing for our wedding. One day, I parked by the roadside to buy something. When I came out, I saw a girl standing in front of my car, looking it over. When she saw me, she seemed a little embarrassed. I really like your car. But if I drive it, won't people think it's not very feminine? I smiled. Since you like it, why worry about what others think? She hesitated. Because in social situations, I always need to fit in. I shook my head. When it comes to socializing, the most important thing is making yourself comfortable. Pleasing others isn't as important as pleasing yourself. I smiled again. This car is comfortable and cool. Want to get in and feel it for yourself? Her eyes lit up, but after thinking for a moment, she shook her head. No, I'll save up for it next month. I'll buy one myself. Looking at the confident girl, I smiled. I looked up at the evening sky. Today, tomorrow, both are beautiful days. And,